In this video, we will see an example of computing sample standard deviation. The monthly salaries in thousands of dollars of a sample of 5 sales representatives are as follows: 13, 7, 12, 6, and 7. Find the standard deviation of this sample of monthly salaries. Round your answer to 2 decimal places. So, first of all, we need to recall the formula for computing the sample standard deviation. I already wrote it down for you here. Sample standard deviation is represented by a lowercase letter s, is equal to the square root of this quantity. First of all, you need to find the difference between each element in your set minus the sample mean, and that difference has to be squared. And you continue this for every element until you reach your last nth element in a set of size n. Then you need to divide the sum of squares of differences between each element and the mean, sample mean, by sample size n minus 1. As you can see, this formula requires that we compute sample mean first. To do that, we will need to find the sum of the elements and divide by sample size of 5. Sample mean x bar is equal to 9. Now let's enter everything we have, our elements of the set and the mean and sample size, into the formula of the sample standard deviation. Here is the expression we need to evaluate. First element 13 minus a sample mean, the difference squared, plus second element 7 minus sample mean of 9, the difference is squared, plus you continue like that with every element of your set. And don't forget that when you add the squares, you will divide this by the sample size 5 minus 1. In the video you see above, I am going to use ALEKS information to show you here that if you forget any formulas, you can always reference them. This is the formula that we just used, and it's just a shorthand format in sigma notation of the same formula, because we are adding repeatedly almost identical expression, except we replace our elements of the set right here in this location, and we subtract from each element a sample mean. When we add these quantities, these squares, we divide that by the sample size minus 1. So to do the computations using a calculator, you can enter this formula by, I show here again how to compute the mean by adding all 5 elements first and dividing that sum by the sample size of 5. We get a sample mean of 9, and after that we're ready to compute this quantity using the calculator. So I type the square root. Because I will have to add the squares first, I use big parentheses to show that division by 5 minus 1 will happen later, after all that sum is computed. Otherwise, a calculator may divide by 5 and then subtract 1 later, which would be a wrong order of operations. So now I am opening another set of parentheses for the squaring, and 13 minus 9 all squared is my first little group, and then I continue typing in the rest of the differences and squaring them. It will take a while to type them in, but here you go. You can do that on your calculator as well. So all of those things are being computed. The last difference, the last square, and now we're ready to look at it. I just wanted to kind of show you that that's what the equation looks like, and now I'm ready to compute. Remember that there were directions on rounding to 2 decimal places. Please always reference those directions to make sure you provide your answer in the best form that is required, and in this case it is 3 and 24 hundredths, and it is checked as correct.